Whoa. What's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong. I understand we've got the shadowing going on. Today is the 10th of May, 2025. I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is 1/4 of us in the Image Clothing Company poodles. I'll talk about what we're going to talk about, which is keeping dog collars centered. Is that really what it's about? Keeping dog collars centered. All right. That's what we'll do. That's what we'll title it. I think I was walking over here and I'm like, yeah, we'll say something about keeping them balanced, but we'll say centered because the whole thing is In the Image Clothing Company, right? And I'll talk about what this side of our company is, and then the other three, because there's 4 sides to us as a whole. Holy cow, right? Talk about an intro. But In the Image Clothing Company poodles, where you currently are, we let dogs stay natural. Unnatural floorings, flat and slippery, when the dogs would naturally always have texture on their feet. Toys, accessories, anything going into the mouth of dog or on the dog, including collars, okay, harnesses, leashes. Sometimes those things nowadays are made out of synthetic materials, and very often actually that's the case. Stuff that's fake, that's man-made, and our dogs are natural otherwise, okay? If human beings don't get involved, dogs are generally just a dog. And sometimes our dogs are very much altered because of things we do. Dehydrated kibble, right? The water's been taken out. We talk about things like this. So this is In the Image Clothing Company poodles and what we do for dogs. We also have our In the Image Clothing Company poodles breeding program, okay? Proper AKC registered standard size poodles through our program to come as of today's date, okay? Now, where it all started, the other fourth, that's not any of the other three, is just the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. We allow, keyword, the human body to work. Coming at it through clothing, staying centered, fitting correct, being made out of 100% natural materials is how we allow the body to work through clothing, and that's what In the Image Clothing Company clothing will always do. But there's a center line to the human being, okay? And that's where that word comes from, okay? There's a center line to a dog as well. But the human being has a sternum, a spine, a trachea, a nose, and a jaw, which naturally stabilizes the entire body. And these things have to be in the center, with feet arches opposing it, gripping inward, keeping us vertical. So clothing needs to be centered as well, all right? We talk about eating, standing, sitting, walking, hydration, sleeping, a lot of things, pretty much everything the human being does, seriously, being just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space, right? There's only one way the human body could ever work. Same with dogs, so that's what we do. Now, another fourth is In the Image Clothing Company music. I show how to size and set up a guitar to not alter the hands. Our hands are essentially the shoulders of our bodies, as our feet are essentially the hips. Holy cow, I'm choking up on something. Now, there's also music that I've made on In the Image Clothing Company music. Another fourth of us is In the Image Clothing Company podcast, where I have discussions, deep dives on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. I am choking up. I'm not mad about it, but ideally I'm speaking pretty fluently for the video's sake, right? Documenting things that will last for eternity. Holy cow. But yeah, I get into it. We've got 117 episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast as of today's date. Now, we will talk about this because I talk about the human body, keeping our collars centered as far as the tops that we wear, t-shirt collars, right? The dreaded collar seam modification under In the Image Clothing Company. When there's a collar seam in something that should just evenly sit around the circumference of our neck, it doesn't allow our collars to sit centered. And we talk about that so often under In the Image Clothing Company's main side with the anatomy of the human body and just allowing it to work, okay? Neutrals in every joint, and then the body just works if it's residing within those. So dogs are no different. As I said, they have a center line. There's a spine going from the base of the dog's head down to the tip of its tail. And when a dog's walking or anything, standing, right, looking straight forward, straight from its nose to the tip of its tail. It's just a straight line, okay, forward to back down the spine. Now, if we have a collar for a dog placed onto it, right? By the way, in InTheImageClothingCompany.com, where everything comes to, all four sides of the company, that's where you'll be able to find dog products as well as human being clothing, okay? Same intent, minimal, light, natural materials, and what I'm discussing in here about staying centered. If our dog has a collar on it, it's already something that's unnatural. The dog would just have its neck motion and its head motion traveling down to the tip of its tail and the tips of its toes, really, right? Any alteration that does happen to the neck, it's going through the whole dog. But a collar on there is one thing. We can keep it light, but then we need to keep the collar centered, weight-wise. What you'll notice is collars have often a little ring to clip something to, like a leash, or they'll have a little tag of some type, whether it's actually on the collar or another ring type thing that allows you to hang dog tags onto. But anything you add to a collar surrounding the circumference, meaning just the entire circle of what a dog's neck is, that's imbalanced weight-wise, it's just going to pull on the dog. Whatever side the thing's on, or if it's right in the center, it'll pull it down until it moves a little bit, and then it'll pull the dog to one side, or it'll move a little bit and pull the dog to the other side, okay? And that really is traveling through the entire mechanics of the dog, right? We talk about body mechanics under In the Image Clothing Company. We're a mechanical machine. Hinges and rotations and lever operations, right? That's what the body really is. Same with dogs. Just a body of flesh and bone placed onto earth, designed by God. Seriously, okay? Now, we need our collars for the dog to stay centered, weight-wise. Because, same with human beings, we're really not that much different at all, physically. There's a trachea where air, right, oxygen that we breathe in, comes through either the nose or the mouth, same with the dog. And it travels through the tube of the neck right here in the center. That is the trachea, okay? It's a tube of cartilage. Cartilage, right? It's like a pretty firm tube. And not only breathing, but then anything we eat or drink goes through that as well, and it needs to stay in the center for both human beings and dogs, okay? Now, there's arteries, big old veins, right? Vessels that allow blood flow from the heart up to the head for the dogs as well. They go through the neck, and they don't want to be having any pressure against them, ideally, but especially if it's imbalanced, right, weight-wise, then you've got pressure on one side of the neck of the dog more than the other side, and blood flow to the brain of the dog can be cut off, breathing can be restricted and imbalanced. So now you've got oxygen the dog's breathing in going through the dog like imbalanced, right? If the collar is weight-wise, and then the dog will be breathing imbalanced. It goes to its rib cage and the lungs within them, within the ribs, right? The expansion of the lungs can be different left to right in every breath. And dog owners out there, you know how dogs sometimes get panting. Every single breath, if that's going through a tube in the neck with a collar placed on it that's just imbalanced, right? I mean, it's potentially causing patternings to get created within the dog and scar tissue built up in locations, right? So same with the human beings. We talk about this on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? The importance of just keeping clothing centered. There is a center line. Gravity's just gonna do its thing no matter what. So we're placed onto the earth and we're affected by it the same, always. Now, yeah, the spine of the dog, right? Same with the human being. The nervous system will travel through the brain, down the spine. There's a cord in the center of the spine. Spine is just little vertebrae, meaning just little bones that each have motion in them, right? Traveling through the whole dog from the base of its head to the tip of its tail. And in there, like the dog's neck, that part of its spine, if the collar is placed on there and then imbalanced, Then you've got weight pulling on the dog's neck unevenly, and the actual spinal cord, meaning the electrical system that feeds the entire body, the dog's sense of touch, okay, like the human being, it can be really affected by that. Now, you've also just got musculature in the dog's neck, holding its head up and allowing the dog to swallow, right? I mean, when you swallow, there's musculature all through your neck. Even when you breathe, it takes muscles in your neck. Wow. I mean, we can get into all sorts of anything and everything we can get into anatomy-wise that gets affected by an imbalanced weight-wise collar for a dog. And what this is titled is uncentered, right? Keeping it centered with the weight and with the fit around the dog. Otherwise, all these things, it's not only just while the collar's on the dog and once you take the collar off, like at the end of the night, you let your dog sleep with no collar, let's say, then he's fine or she's fine. That's not the case, because patterning builds up in the body. Again, the body, meaning just a body of flesh and bone with operations, okay? So we really need to be very particular, actually, to keep our collars as centered as we can, fit-wise and weight-wise, for the dogs that we have, okay? So there you go, all right? Yeah, a lot of reasons why your dog won't just walk straight next to you in a heel position is because it's just got weight pulling it. And so anything that catches its attention, its musculature is already imbalanced, and so it's going to just look quicker to whatever side it's being pulled on, right? Its attention's being distracted by weight pulling on its neck if the collar's imbalanced. So, as I say, a lot of what we do under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, this fourth of our company, is advocate, okay? A lot of advocacy for things, proper breeding, proper dog ownership, taking accountability as an owner of a dog, right? It's just an animal that we've chosen to take possession of and care for, which is great, but we have to take accountability where we do. And we can't really do that unless we know what's happening, because you're not held accountable for things you don't know, right? It says that in scripture. So it's just the case. Now, yeah, In the Image Clothing Company Poodles to come, okay? Proper dogs. I use that phrase just meaning, yeah, really, you know, healthy, good, bred well dogs, standard poodles, all right? Yeah, stick around. Poodle parade events where we get together with purebred poodles of any size and or poodle mixes of any size as the only breeds allowed. A lot of reasons as to why. Those are all scheduled on InTheImageClothingCompany.com, okay? Yeah, so when we have our collars available, right, that's just going into our designs. The only reason we have products to sell under In the Image Clothing Company ever is because they're good and they do beneficial things for either the human being or the dog that is going to be utilizing the product, okay? So, yeah. It's a little dog right there. Yep. All right. I love dogs, by the way. I love standard poodles so much. So stick around if you'd like. And now you know, okay? Because there's a lot of things, like I'm saying, with just the dog not obeying commands, the dog not walking straight, the dog getting distracted easily. If its collar is imbalanced, it's just like you wearing something and it's pulling on you slightly all day, every day. And it can travel to the joints of the shoulders and hips of the dog as well, right? Just the dog trying to work in a centered position, when something's pulling it out, joints are taking a beating through the whole dog. And that's just how it is for any body ever, okay? So thank you. As I said, today's the 10th of May, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Stick around if you'd like. Check out the other 3 sides of the company if you'd like to. Poodles, I'll have poodles, man, just always. It's gonna be great. We do a lot for human beings, man, but I love dogs. So, thank you.